All right. So you're probably wondering, why is there a squirrel on the screen? And the reason is that as I'm about to talk about securities law, and probably when you hear securities law, you think that has nothing to do with me, or maybe if it does, it's too boring, I'm going to take a nap now. But you do actually need to know this stuff, and it's pretty interesting, and it's not that hard to understand. But I'm going to use the squirrel because squirrels are cute and entertaining, and hopefully it'll be something memorable for you. And so yeah, a lot of people think of securities as these things that happen on Wall Street, but of course we want to bring business ownership back to our local communities. And so we're not talking about Wall Street today, we're just talking about locally owned businesses. And here's the example of a squirrel. So this squirrel is starting a locally owned, squirrel managed acorn smoothie cafe. The squirrel needs money because she needs to get a blender, one of those really expensive acorn blending blenders. And so it's starting to look for investments for folks in her community. And she's asking the neighborhood moose and bird and bunny for investments or loans. So the first thing you need to know is this squirrel has just broken the law, because securities laws basically say, well, first of all, I should explain what a security is. Basically, anytime you ask someone to put money into your business and you're offering to return that money to them, or you're even offering them a share of profits or some interest, basically, if you're taking their money and there's a risk that they might not get it back, that's a security. So basically, the reason the squirrel has broken the law is that it's illegal to go out and publicly solicit money for your business. So if you have created a security, meaning you're going to be asking for money, you can't go out and publicize it. So there's the Securities and Exchange Commission, played by the bear, that's sort of pointing out, well, that's illegal. So what is she going to do? Well, first of all, if she does want to sell a security, offer or sell a security, what she's going to have to do is either register that security with the state and federal securities regulators, which can be a little burdensome, but it's not impossible, or she's got to find an exemption to registration. And I'm going to talk about some of the easy exemptions you can use, and some of them are very easy to use. So first of all, if this squirrel is forming a cooperative and the primary individuals investing in this business are the other squirrels who are going to be managing that acorn smoothie cafe, then that's not really a security, or it's subject to a very easy exemption. So each of the squirrels who are going to be managing the business can put in as much money as they want. Next, if she is asking for donations, that's actually not a security. So she can do that as much as she wants. And actually there's such a movement now of people donating to each other's businesses, because you see, a business is not just about earning an individual profit, it's about improving our community. So if all of you are seeking donations for your business, I would donate if I had all the money in the world, but maybe I still would, because I want to see food justice businesses grow in my community. Another thing that a lot of businesses are doing, and this is where we start to creep into some legal gray areas, is that they're pre-selling their products. And so there's actually a coffee shop here locally called Awaken. They're in downtown Oakland, and when they first got started, they sold these gift certificates for $1,000 worth of coffee, and they sold them for $800 each. And that way they got tens of thousands of dollars by these coffee fanatics who are basically investing in their business by buying coffee in advance. Unfortunately, in California, that's kind of legally risky, because the securities regulators might look at that as a security and mandate that the cafe register that security. So pre-selling your products, selling 300 acorn smoothies before your business is even started, is potentially a security. But actually, I left out another slide. If your business is already started, though, and you're wanting to raise more money to expand it or do something different, and you're selling gift certificates for your product, then that's okay, because there's no risk that the people are not going to get, or there's much less risk that they're not going to get their smoothies. Like if this squirrel already has her blender and she's now fundraising to get lots of tables and umbrellas for the Forest Cafe, then that's probably okay, because that moose can come in and cash in on the smoothies anytime. There's no risk that the moose is not going to get the moose's smoothies. So, oh yeah, there's the example of Awaken Cafe in downtown Oakland, which did that. Oh, there's the slide I was talking about. Different type of business, but if you are doing a service business, like if you're a personal chef or you're a gardener or something like that, and you're ready to work anytime, you can still pre-sell your services, because there's not much of a risk that the people purchasing it are not going to get your services. So it's only when your business is not started yet and you sell all these gift certificates, there's a risk your business might not ever get off the ground. So, okay, so another way you might get these resources is just purely through barter. And think about that a lot. If you're looking for tangible resources or services like web design, maybe you want to try bartering for those. Although, if you think about it, this is a very similar situation. Instead of getting money, she's getting the blender. Maybe this could be considered a security because maybe there's a risk the beaver won't get the acorn smoothies. But now that now that there's a blender, there's probably not much of a risk. So just think about the risk. If you're pre-selling your product, is there a risk that people are not going to get it? If so, you could end up being fined by the securities regulators, penalized, and you're going to be liable for paying back basically what you've taken. But all of these things I just named, donations, pre-selling, that type of thing, that might not be enough to get your business started. So what are some other exemptions? So here's one, 25102F. If you want to sound like a lawyer and impress the people that you're working with, be like, yeah, I'm actually using a 25102F security as exemption to raise money for my business. But this is actually really common, and another way that people refer to it is the friends and family exemption. So basically the rule is in California, if you're a California business, you can get up to 35 lenders or investors in your business as long as those people are in California and you have a pre-existing relationship with them, meaning either a personal relationship or a business relationship. Basically, they know you enough to be able to assess your business acumen, your financial status, so that they're somewhat empowered to make a wise decision about whether or not they should give you money. You can't go out and advertise this to the public. It's more like, hey, buddy, my friend, my uncle, I need some money for my business. So just kind of like, talking to people that you already know and kind of subtly letting them know that you need money for your business. And then basically what you need to do in order to comply totally with the law in this situation is to file a simple form with the Department of Corporations. It's called a Notice of Transaction. And I think we have information about it in the little handbook. So 25102F, that's probably the most common thing you'll use if you're getting friends and family to help put in money for your business. But there's also this thing called accredited investors, and those are people who have $1 million or more of net worth, not counting their home. So beyond their home, they have $1 million roughly sitting around somewhere in assets or money. So this is a small percentage of the population. This is rich people, or very nice rich cats in this case. So here's, the squirrel has gone to this really nice wealthy cat who's an accredited investor. Or I should have said another definition of accredited investor is someone who makes more than $200,000 per year. So these are people or cats who can invest their money anywhere they want. So you don't need to find some fancy exemption or go register with the securities regulators. These are people who are supposedly able to protect themselves and can put their money into your enterprise. That's what venture capitalists are, angel investors, but the majority of people in society and in our community don't know all these rich people, or don't really have like the sort of like connections to be able to get these types of investments. Plus, even if you do, you should think about like, is it beneficial to have somebody invest this much money in my business, like one person who's going to have a lot of control potentially, like they might want a lot of control. And this cat could be thinking, yeah, this is a good idea. I'm thinking tuna fish smoothies in the cat district of the woods, they might have a different vision for your business than you do. So think about, who these investors are. And now we have this thing called the Crowdfund Act, which is basically something that Obama signed in April. It has not gone into effect yet, but it will, we're hoping, any day now. And this is a really cool law for local businesses to become more locally owned and locally financed. And basically it allows you to get a large number of small investments to get your business up and running. So here are the rules. Every person who invests in your business can put in at least $2,000, or they can put in 5% of their annual income. So if they make a lot of money, they can put in more than $2,000. If they have an income of over $100,000, they can put up to 10% of their annual income into your business. And you can raise up to $1 million for your business using the Crowdfund Act once it's implemented. But it's not going to be that simple, because there's one little thing that you're going to have to deal with, which is this thing called the Crowdfunding Intermediary, as played by Weird Looking Raccoon. And so these are basically entities, they're mostly for-profits, sometimes nonprofits, that are going to be facilitating the transaction. So you're not going to be taking the money directly. These crowdfunding intermediaries are going to be taking the money from your investors, but before they do that, they're going to say, okay, investors, first you need to know what you're getting yourself into. Here's a little bit of information about the business. You need to know what you're putting your money into. So the intermediaries are providing information to the investors. They're of course getting it from you first. And they're asking the investors to fill out forms with their information because they want to verify that these investors aren't low-income people who are investing too much of their money. I mean, everybody can put in 2,000, but if somebody is trying to put in 10,000 but their income's very low, the raccoon is going to be like, no, wait, that's kind of risky. You got to keep this money. And there's a limit. So this is what the role of the intermediaries are for, is to make sure people don't abuse this law and to make sure that people have all the information they need. And then they facilitate the transaction, and you actually are not able to go out and advertise this to the public. You kind of just need to say, hey, we're raising money for our business. Go talk to the raccoon. Go talk to this crowdfunding intermediary. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be doing the legal Q&A over by the law library in the afternoon, so if you have questions, you can just come over and talk to me. But you know, these are some of the easiest crowdfunding exemptions, securities law exemptions to use, and it's very possible that using all of these you will be able to get your business up and running. I didn't mention one other thing, which is called a direct public offering. You might know about People's Grocery here in Oakland. Basically what they've done is they've gone through all of the paperwork that it takes to register a securities offering with the state of California, and they and you know, a lot of times it requires, you know, really detailed financial statements and budgets and so on, just to, you know, inform and provide disclosure information to the people investing. But if you do jump through those hoops, then you can advertise to the public and you get investors. So every one of us in this room could potentially go and invest money in People's Grocery here in West Oakland. So that's a really cool thing that they've done. And if you have the resources to do that too, you might want to consider it. You become a community-owned business. So that's all.